Welcome to a updated gear video on my character. This is to show you guys the new gear stats I have chosen for my character and to briefly go over every single gear stat as well for those who do not know what they do. I'm going to make this video a bit shorter than the other one, as the other one was a bit long and dragged on. So I'm only going to be briefly explaining what things do. I'm not really going to go into detail, but what I will be going into detail is the changes I have made to my character and why I made them. So with that being said, let's get into the first part of armor. I'm going to go to the helmet first. So the previous helmet I was using was Revenge Mode duration was at max and exhaustion recovery was almost at max, and I had no debuff resistance. Now I am max Revenge Mode duration and near max debuff resistance with 0 exhaustion recovery. Really quick, exhaustion recovery is obvious. When you have no stamina, it's the speed you get back to your stamina bar. Revenge Mode duration is the duration you have when you have max Revenge Mode. And debuff resistance, which a lot of people did not know at the time, including me, is it doesn't only affect feats when they're used on you, it also affects your recovery time when you're parried, and poisons and burns and stuff like that. It lowers the damage of that stuff. So it was very good to know that, and I immediately jumped on getting this because personally I think it has more value than exhaustion recovery as long as you're managing your stamina. And if you're in Revenge Mode, then you don't have to worry about stamina at all. So that's why I made that change. Going on to the chest piece, I used to have near max execution health regen, block damage is at max, and sprint speed was not at max. And I changed to max execution health regen, 0 block damage, and near max sprint speed. This was a recent change, and I personally think it was a good idea. More execution health, it's very useful when I'm getting ganked and I need to get a quick execution to heal myself. It's a really good way of keeping myself in the game, as well as keeping the enemies off of me. When I kill them, they won't get revived. It's very useful, and more health just is a better thing, better trade-off in the end. And more sprint speed, the reason why I traded this for block damage is I found out that sprint speed is actually quite useful for my playstyle. Not necessarily the fact of running away from fights, but more so when you're getting grouped up on, or if you want to go and help your teammate real quickly. This sprint speed helps a lot. Also, when enemies are trying to run away from you, you can catch up to them. You have a better chance of catching up because you have faster sprint speed. So it is very useful. And the reason why I got rid of block damage completely is because for those who don't know what it does, block damage is the amount of damage you shave off the enemy when they block you and you do a strong attack on them, or per se any damage that can normally do more damage when they block. But the reason why I got rid of this is because a lot of enemies like to get the stat block damage resistance, which completely nullifies block damage. Even when you're revenged and you do full block damage to someone who's blocking, it doesn't really do that much more in comparison to when you get sprint speed up and execution health regen. The trade-off is more valuable in this sense, so I decided to go with that. Moving on to the arms are still the same as they were. Stamina regen and block damage resistance, I'm pretty sure that this one is still new. I didn't change this at all, and I don't think I'm planning on changing that anytime soon. Block damage resistance basically is when you're blocking, the damage is resisted, and revive speed is how fast you revive, and stamina regen is how fast your stamina regens. Of course, not when you're out of stamina, it's when you still have stamina. Moving on to the axe, I have made the change to go to near max attack and max defense with 0 stamina cost reduction. In the other video, I mentioned that this is a good idea to go with this axe if you know what you're doing and you have good stamina management, but it's not really necessarily great in 1v1s because you can run out of stamina in those 1v1s a lot, especially if your enemy is aggressing you and they're taking off your stamina as well. However, I found that this axe could probably be the better way for me to go, because a lot of people are starting to get their max defense stats now instead of max attack, and they're learning that defense has a huge value part in gear stat wise. So people are starting to tank up a lot more, and because of that I do a lot less damage since I have 0 attack. So I decided to make the trade and decide to be a more conservative with my stamina cost reduction in 1v1s. However, when you're in gank situations and enemies are pounding on you and you get revenge, you won't have to worry about your stamina cost, because of course you're going to be in revenge, you're going to have unlimited stamina. It works out really well, so you don't really need to worry about that. And I decided to make this trade-off because I can still fare myself pretty well in a 1v1 situation. I just need to not really carry through with my combos that I usually do, because in order for me to win my 1v1s when I had max defense and 0 attack, is I had to continuously pound on the enemy and get extremely huge amount of combos, and now I don't really need to do that much. I just need to land a couple lights and strong attacks and the enemy will die eventually, so it works out. And moving on to the shaft, I'm pretty sure I haven't changed anything with this, but just to go over what it does: feat cooldown reduction reduces the cooldowns of your feats. Revenge mode defense increases your defense when you're in revenge, and revenge gain by defense is when you're blocking damage, not taking damage but blocking the damage. You gain revenge. Moving on to the spike, it's also the same. I did not up my throw distance. I kept revenge mode attack at max, and I kept revenge gain by injury at max. Now the reason why I didn't level up throw distance, and I was thinking of doing it and testing it out, but I really in the end don't think it has much of a value to me in comparison to the two other stats, revenge mode attack and injury. Well, revenge mode attack, I used to need it a lot more, because with the axe I used to have 0 attack, so when I had max revenge mode attack it just kind of leveled it out. But now when I have revenge mode attack and the damage as well, it just adds a huge bonus to taking out enemies really quickly, especially with a strong attack. I can get them down to an execution range very easily, and I can get them out of the game without worrying about them having to be revived. Revenge gained by injury, that's just another plus. Gaining revenge when you're taking damage, you always need that. And so these two stats I think just overweigh throw distance. And for those who don't know what it does, throw distance is when you successfully guard break someone and you throw them into a wall, or just throw them in general. It's the distance they travel when you throw them, and I don't really think it's that valuable to me, so that's why I didn't choose it. So these are my stats for my Lawbringer, my updated stats. Hope you guys learned a few things. Hope you guys understand why I made these changes. And I by no means recommend to do anything that I'm doing. This is just my opinion of what I think is best. And I still will be testing this stuff in the future, just to make sure that I have the utmost priority and best build I can make and best build I can find. With that being said, hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys later.